Before we begin the episode, I would like to thank our sponsor, Actimet, an athlete wellness and performance monitoring system. Actimet allows players to share their training load, training intensity and highlight issues away from sport, empowering management to help players in a safe, secure and private manner. Players input their performance and wellness data on an easy-to-use mobile app. Actimet is an affordable monitoring system at less than €50 a month and is currently used by county and All-Ireland champions and over 50 soccer academies worldwide. For more information, please visit actimet.com for more. Welcome back to the Sideline Live podcast. You can follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at the Sideline Live. We'd love to hear from you. On episode 77, I'm delighted to be joined by Irish 400 metre runner and 8-time national champion Brian Gregan. Since recording this episode, Brian has been named to represent Ireland at the upcoming Indoor World Championships. This is the first time Brian will represent Ireland since 2017 after overcoming many setbacks which we discuss in the episode. Hi Brian, thanks a million for joining me on the podcast.
Yeah, cheers. Delighted to be on. Thanks so much.
Growing up, who got you involved in sport? Who was the person that brought you down to your first athletic session?
Mum and dad, definitely. They were chauffeurs, bringing me here, there and everywhere. Athletics, football, basketball, Gaelic, whatever. So,
Okay.
Yeah, they just, I was full of beans when I was younger. So I think it was more get me out of the house.
Yeah. Keep them busy.
Yeah, pretty much. Direct that energy somewhere else, so it's not me running around like a lunatic in the house.
Very good. Why athletics? What stood out to you? Were you always naturally a runner, or was it just something you enjoyed more than the rest?
I don't know. People would have said I was fast, but I kind of started with cross country. I think it was just where I was a big club, Bellegarde, which we did community games with, and then that was feeded into Tal Athletic Club. And that's where I suppose I started. All my friends did it. We did it in school. So I suppose it's probably more luck than anything. I prefer football. I'm a massive Man United fan. I'd much rather watch Man United play than watch athletics. But
Okay.
I love athletics as well. I'm just a little bit more maybe passionate about watching football, because I suppose it's so different because it's an individual sport versus a team sport. So it's nice to watch, something else.
How do you find when you watch athletics? Can you kind of enjoy just watching a race, or are you analysing what they're doing?
No, I can't enjoy it at all. No, I'm analysing every split, what they look like. Yeah, I find it very difficult to enjoy it. I get nervous and, I'm analysing. But yeah, so sometimes it could be a tough watch.
Yeah. What are the little specific things you notice? I don't have an athletics background. I'm just interested in what you kind of look for if you're nearly analysing an opponent or somebody.
Yeah, well, I'm always watching some 400 meters. You're watching the 200 splits. What time are they going through in? Are they pushing at that pace, or are they quite relaxed at it? How are they coming home in the last 100 meters? Are they strong, or are they filling up with lactic and fighting across the line? And then obviously looking at the overall time and technique. Are they quite relaxed in that position, or are they really, tense and fighting for every meter? So watching little things like that, how they come out of the blocks and what their race strategy is as well.
Okay, very good. You've had a lot of setbacks during your career, but you had a significant one when you were about 15. You were told you wouldn't be able to run again.
Yeah. I tore my adductor muscle off the bone when I was 15. Just as I was training, nothing you wouldn't have thought it would have happened. I kind of was like, oh geez, it was quite sore at the time. But you didn't think it was anything too serious. And yeah, 2 years I was out with that, didn't look again. So that was just before my junior cert, way back when, and didn't run again until sixth year.
Wow.
So yeah, it was pretty much told I wasn't going to run again by a surgeon. There's no point of doing anything on it. But eventually rehab, and a long road, a lot of resilience. But I got there in the end. I think if I hadn't have had a bit of success younger, so I just broken the Irish schools record 3 days beforehand, around 46. No one was running that time at my age. And I think without that success, I don't know if I would have stuck with it. Maybe I would, and I always would have kept going. But, you go, oh, this is nice. I enjoyed that. I ran well. I get to travel around the world competing. But if you didn't have that success, there's not much fuel in the tank to keep you going when you're, doing 6 o'clock in the morning physio sessions before school when you're going to fifth year. It was tough.
And what's it like trying to cope with being told you're going to be out of sport for a long time is one thing, but being told by somebody that you're never going to run again 3 days after you're just after breaking a record, how do you deal with that?
I suppose when you're young, you're kind of almost, you're quite strong-headed, and you're I will get back. When you get that bit older and you go, geez, life is tough. I think when you're that young, you're like, I'll be grand. Now, if you had told me 2 years, like in 2 years' time, you'd be running again, it's a different story.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just like I think that became, I'm very good at ticking boxes, showing up, doing things, even when I'm not motivated, I still do it. All the things, the stretches, the rehab, the cool down, the warm up. I tick the boxes, get them done, because I know at the end of the day, when it comes to race season, they'll be worth it. And you can't always be motivated. Like no one in the world wakes up and goes, I love going out and killing myself on the track every single day. They don't. It's a great thing to do and it's fun, but there's times where you struggle and you're injured and training's not clicking. But I suppose it's just tick those boxes and keep going.
I love that tick the box idea. And let's say you wake up tomorrow, you have a session planned, and you wake up and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. Is it just this conversation with yourself, Brian, you've been here before, this is just one of those things, you just have to go and get it done?
Yeah, just show up, get it done, and you'll feel better afterwards. It is literally tick the boxes. What have you got to do? Like the 400 meters and 400-meter training is like a jigsaw. It's putting all the little small components from rehab and training sessions and weights and food, sleep, nutrition, and so on all together. It's a very difficult thing to do. So it's just piecing each little piece slowly together to build the big picture towards the summer season.
Very good. When you came back running, pretty remarkable. It was in sixth year, but under 23, only 4 years later, you won a silver medal at the championships. What's that kind of, I call it unseen hours. I've robbed that term from someone else, but the unseen hours that go in from your back running after 2 years of injury to bridge that gap from about 4 or 5 years from 18 to 23 or so. Talk us through a little bit of that journey there.
Yeah, so the unseen hours, I would call it the iceberg model. So it's like you see the iceberg and all the hard work is below it. So for me, it's countless hours of rehab and training and, training by myself a lot as well, because people are racing and enjoying the season and I'm, just tipping away. But my coach was amazing with me. He was just like, we probably could have got a race maybe 6 months earlier, because look, there's no point in doing it when you're 85%, let's hold off. And I did. And then, the racing went quite well from there. But yeah, it was setting goals each time, right? Let's try and get back running at a higher percentage. Let's try and lift a little bit heavier. Let's push it on here, there, and everywhere. Like when I came back, it was World Juniors, World Under 20s, which I finished fifth in. And then subsequently, I was DQ'd for touching the line afterwards.
Oh.
Another Irish junior record was DQ'd for touching the line. So, yeah. And then the year next was the under 23s, and I tore my hamstring in the first round of the under 23s. Tore my hamstring 50 meters in, and that was obviously gutting because I knew I had another chance 2 years, but it was pretty tough. So 2 years, I'd set the goal. Then this is just how powerful goal setting was. There was in 2 years' time I'm going to win a medal, gold, silver, bronze. That was it. Everything was hinged on that. And then to actually cross the line, and I missed the goal by 0.2 of a second. It was a dive for the finish line, but for me it was gold, silver, bronze, and to actually go through every day I went to training and I go, this is for 6 months time, 9 months time, I want to be ready to go. And obviously you have your smaller goals in between. 2 years is a long time. That was the big one. You had your national championships and whatever. But yeah, it was just getting out there and putting the training in, ticking the boxes, and then gratefully, I got the rewards at the end of it.
When you're going through that training, I get the sense that you're very good at staying very focused on yourself and as an individual. It's interesting. How do you develop that mindset of just that total tunnel vision? This is me and my goal here. I've set myself a goal of that medal at under 23. How do you develop that mentality?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I was born with it, like obviously you develop it as well, but like I was in, you're in college and everyone's trying to get you to go out and drinking and this, that, and the other. And I was always very able to say no. A lot of people
Okay.
say, "Oh no, go on, one or two," and then one or two turns to three or four. So I think for me, I just I knew what I wanted, and I knew what couldn't happen to get there as well.
Okay.
I couldn't go out drinking. I had to sleep. I had to eat well. Everything that was having a negative effect on it, you had to put that to the side. Like, that's difficult because, friends you mightn't see as much, you don't get to have the social aspects as much as you'd like. Now, I don't live like a hermit either.
Yeah.
I enjoy myself as well, but, there's a time and a place for that.
Yeah.
But I think it's, you know, you look at this is my goal. What do I do to get there? What are the barriers that are going to stop me getting there? And then remove those set barriers and, surround yourself with a positive group of people, coach, physio, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, friends. It's, very, very important.
It's like nearly a SWOT analysis of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and then you're analysing those threats. Do you think that's what it takes to get to your level? Like you're saying there, you're missing loads of social events. It's your choice. Do you think you could give yourself an extra couple of days off, or is that just what it takes?
Yes and no. Like you like, there's different ways to do it. You have people that will purposely train on Christmas Day to go, I got one over my competitors. And I would have kind of maybe been a bit like that rocky mentality when I was younger. But, you have to listen to your body as well. You have to have some kind of a life
Mm-hmm.
outside of it. Now it's a little bit different if you're a marathon runner and you're training twice a day and going for a 2 hour run, 1 hour run, and you're wrecked all the time. But I think you can definitely have a degree of, a normal life. Yeah, but it is about getting the right recovery, getting the right training in, stopping things that impact your recovery. Like for me, a while or around Christmas time, my Achilles was a little bit at me, and I had a glass of wine. Next day, I woke up, my Achilles was killing me.
Yeah.
So I was like, right, no more wine. One glass at Christmas Day, and I annoyed my Achilles. So I'm like, look, I can live without that.
Yeah.
It's just things like that. You go, what works well, what could work better. Obviously, you have to have a degree of enjoyment, like going out for
Mm-hmm.
coffee, meeting your friends, and so on. You can do all that stuff, but it's not doing it all the time. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can definitely live a good life, and you can definitely work like I do, but it's maximizing your time. You've 168 hours in a week. Um, you got to use them wisely. Otherwise, once it goes by, you don't get it back.
Mm-hmm. I heard you speak before about kind of burnout. I think it was around the 2012 Olympics or the qualifiers. You were coming towards the end of college, you had a lot going on, and was that the point where you kind of suffered a bit of burnout at that stage?
Yeah, I was totally wiped out. I was just massively stressed. I was trying to get my thesis, and I did sports science in DCU. I was trying to get that thesis done, trying to qualify for the Olympic Games, and yeah, I just got totally wiped out. I couldn't get out of bed, couldn't train. I didn't train for about 3 months. I was absolutely exhausted, and then like obviously the stress and anxiety builds up there as well. So I was sleeping 2 hours a night, and
Jesus.
I was freaking out about I'm missing training, but I'm also, I have to get my project due in at the same time. So like, what am I going to do here? Eventually, I got it done. I had friends and family and my girlfriend helped me a massive amount getting across the line. But I struggled to put a sentence on paper. I was so exhausted all the time. But I eventually got working out with a sports psych in Kate Kirby, and yeah, that transformed everything. I can never understand when people are like, no, I'm grand, I'm bulletproof, I'm mentally very strong. And when I was younger, my coach would say, oh, maybe you need to go talk to someone or whatever. And I had tried it, but the people I worked with, I just couldn't relax around fully. And when I started working with Kate, like it just revolutionized things and how to deal with stress and anxiety. And it's basic stuff, she's not it's just time management and, little coping strategies, make the world a difference. And I think if I had that, in 2009, 2010, who would have known where you could have been? I missed 2 World University Game medals by zero point 0.1 of a second, missed gold by 0.02 under 23s, missed a medal at the European Championships by 0.2 of a second. All these little things add up. Now, maybe in that time, that was just the way it was meant to plan out. But I think having those backup skills when you're going into championships and you're ranked number 1, number 2, number 3 is very different to being an underdog.
Yeah, exactly. I'm interested in sports psychology. Where did she start with you? Was it just with the absolute basics of just dealing with stress, nearly not even related to sports, really?
Yeah, literally just a conversation. You sit down, have a coffee, and what's going on in your life right now. Time management. Can you manage your time a little bit better? Planning. So the example is you arrive to a competition and the bus breaks down and you've only got 30 minutes before your call room. What do you do? So I would have warm up A, B, and C. So A is, plan A is everything's good. Plan B is if you've got an hour of 45 minutes. Plan C is if you've got to strip everything back. So rather than freaking out and going, what am I going to do? I go, right, plan C, it's written down on my notes and I just go through it. And I don't have to think about anything else. Right. I just do that. So those little coping mechanisms and just chatting about how I'm feeling, and it made a huge difference. We did a little bit of PMR, so it's progressive muscle relaxation. So basically is you lie down, you tense each part of your muscles through your working from your feet up to your head, and that finds a little bits of tightness, but it also takes your thoughts away and you're focusing on you're focused on your body rather than your thoughts. So before a call room, if I was nervous, you've got 20 minutes, half an hour before your competition, and the only people you can talk to are your competition. It can be pretty nerve-wracking. And you have to go out to battle with them in half an hour. So to calm yourself down is very important. Visualization, setting yourself up in the right positions and practicing the run in your head a couple of times. Simple basic tools, grounding yourself. So when you're getting stressed and anxious, it's usually we think about something that's happened before or something that might happen in the future. So literally walking outside and feeling the sun on your face, feeling the wind blowing through your hair brings you back to the here and now. So like every morning before a competition or before I got on the bus, I'd go out for a walk and just feel the present right now, and that really calmed me down, going, right, I'm here right now. I can focus on that, and it takes me away from the stress and anxiety of a major competition or whatever.
Wow, that's really cool. I really like that. I did hear you speak on another podcast before about your preparation. This is something I've been doing with a lot of athletes, but I was actually blown away by how you plan. I think you used the race in London as an example. Would you mind taking us through? We've gone through the call room, but from when you wake up to the moment of the race, can you just take us through what you do? Because it's absolutely ridiculous in a good way.
Yeah. No, and this is like basic for athletes. This is what you expect. So yeah, you'd have everything from obviously your travel plans to the food you're bringing, the snacks you're bringing, and so on. Every little thing managed out. Then the night before, you'd have your kit ready to go. So if you're racing at 10 o'clock in the morning, you're up at 5:30, 6. So you have your kit ready to go. You have your food with you. So you bring your oats. You don't rely on the hotel food. You bring what you're used to eating. You have your supplements ready to go. Get up, go down, have breakfast, come back, shower, kit on. You have your bus timetable ready. So you know what bus you're getting. You meet usually a staff member to go on the bus with you, or your coach. My coach John Shields is usually there. Then I like to arrive 2.5, 3 hours before. Maybe 2 hours before my call room. So if it's 10 o'clock, you get there about 8. Like to lie down, listen to some music, or chat to the physio or John or whatever. I've eaten 3 hours before, and that's my breakfast. 90 minutes beforehand, I have a small snack. I warm up an hour and 10 minutes before the call room. I have my warm up printed out to go through it. If I'm stressed, I just look at each each part of it. I have a playlist made for it, so I know what I'm going to listen to, stuff that I usually listen to. Go through your normal routine, take whatever other supplements that you need, sodium bicarbonate, beetroot shots, beta alanine, whatever. And then before the call room, go through the last little bits with John, my coach, then go into the call room. Make sure, obviously, you have everything with you. No electronics at this stage, so you leave that behind you. And then it's get into the call room and sit down for a little bit. I like to get up and move around then. I maybe lie down. Depends on the call room. Some of them are 40 minutes, some of them are 30, some are 25. The shorter ones, I kind of just sit around for a minute or two and then get up and move. And then run through the race plan in your head, and then just get out there, do your blocks, one block setting, one run through, and then it's on your marks and go.
I love the way you were speaking before about, you mentioned here as well, but your kind of contingency plan. You were saying with your sleep, you always wake up, it takes your body 4 hours to wake up, but I love what you were saying about at home. You have blackout blinds, you have earplugs, and you have your eye masks, so when you go to a hotel there's no blackout blinds, it's no problem, because sure, you're already used to the earplugs and the eye mask.
Yeah, like that was from basically the trips to Scandinavia where it's bright all the way during the summer. So it's 10 p.m. and it's blinding bright out, and for whatever reason some of the hotels, they don't put in blackout blinds, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
So you have to have your plan B. So I kind of prefer sleeping with, you get a better quality sleep with the eye mask on. I think it compresses your eyes a little bit, and it also apparently helps with deep sleep as well. So you get less disturbances through the night, and same with the earplugs. You're not going to have a car driving by. So it's just practice, it really is just practice and planning.
Mm-hmm, totally. Can you describe the moment just before the race when you're in the blocks and they're counting down? Can you describe like what that is like as an athlete and what's going through your head at that stage?
Yeah, like a lot of it depends on the shape you're in. If you're in great shape, it's a lot easier.
Okay.
If you're ready to go and you're not ready to go, you don't feel as nervous. If things haven't gone well and you've been injured and you've been sick and you're trying to keep on the DL away from your competitors and the media, and best case scenario, it's not going to be amazing. It's way worse, but when you're in good shape, it feels a lot better. However, like sometimes you stand in the start line and you do your little stride out at the blocks, and like you're like, how do I run? My legs feel like tree trunks. Like I'm nervous. Like, and I remember speaking to, it was Ailish McSweeney. She was the Irish record holder for 100 meters, and she had said to me before, she was like, I do a start and like I'm like, how do I run again? My legs are like tree trunks. Exactly how I felt. I was like, all right, this is normal. But the minute the gun goes, it's just the animal instincts in you, and you go for it, and you're fine, and you know that beforehand. But then, like for me, the occasion, like the last majors I was at was London, 2017. It was 50,000-60,000 people in it. I don't get nervous for that. I love that. I love it. Like just the crowd, the adrenaline, the noise, like that doesn't make me nervous. Now running in Santry with 10 people there and 2 dogs, that would make me nervous. Everyone knows you and they expect you to win. In the World Championships, you have your expectations by yourself. Obviously, people expect you to do well, but I think the adrenaline from the crowd is just, it's that's why people run fast at major championships, because the atmosphere that's there. It's the same in football. If you look at the stats, when they took the crowds away during COVID, there was more away wins than home wins. So It's the same thing for an athlete. Obviously other people can be very afraid of the crowd. I understand that as well. But for me, it's, big atmosphere. That's what I enjoy.
That's cool. Do you have a good memory of the race, or do you just kind of have this, like, I've talked to a few athletes and they're like, I just black out during the thing?
I remember pretty much all of it to a certain extent, how things went, the positions. I'd have a pretty good memory of how the race went. And obviously then you video analysis, it's been recorded as well, so you go back through it. But yeah, how it plays out in my head usually is how it goes. So yeah, I'd be pretty good at that.
How do you find going from an individual event that when your boxes are ticked that you're ready to go, to a team in a relay, and shifting that mindset of this is me in my race to this is me and my role in a race with other people?
Yeah, I love the relays. Like we've had a great team. The team that set the Irish record in 2015 in Beijing. It's when you get a good group of lads there, that really drives you on. If you don't get on with people, like in football, the performances can go downhill. So I think when you get a team, you can elevate yourself to the better shape than you actually are in. So I love relays. I predominantly prefer. I usually run the first leg. Like it's when you're standing on the line and there's eight guys running in with batons, running all over the place, and you're being pushed and jostled, taking the baton can be carnage. But it's another fun element to it. But yeah, I quite enjoy the relays. I think it's a really fun part of the sport, and the mixed relay as well is a great initiative.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Hmm. Can you describe the mentality that it's required to be? You're an 8-time national champion. Like winning once is an achievement, but sustaining that, there's a great quote about sustaining it is being a genius. But how do you actually do that? And can you give us an insight into your mentality?
Yeah, so I don't know if you saw the Netflix documentary 14 Peaks. It's this guy that's climbed 14 of
Oh,
the
Nims, is it?
yeah, yeah.
I've started
So,
it.
yeah, so this mental case is climbing the 14 mountains. Like it's getting up the first mountain is grand. Getting up the other 13 and staying up there is extremely difficult because everyone you know, is biting at your heels. They want what you want. And you hear I was listening to a podcast the other day. You're the 30-year-old in the changing room, and this young buck is coming in. He wants your jersey. It's the same thing in athletics. They want that. Three people go to Olympic Games. Three people go to World Championships. Everyone wants to be there. So sustaining is the hard part. It's the key to being a good athlete is consistency.
Hmm.
It's just being consistent. Doing the ticking the boxes, and like if I'm in shape, I'll run well.
Yeah.
I'll run to the best of my ability. It is really about consistency, ticking the boxes, eating well, sleeping well. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
Talent plays a huge part in it. If you don't have any talent, you have no chance.
Yeah.
However, if you have talent and you work hard, the sky is the limit. And then obviously add in recovery to that, and the better you recover, the more you do. It's not necessarily more and more and more. Like I've learned, like we've stripped back our training this year to a 5 day week rather than almost a 6.5 day week, and my training is going much better now. I'm
Okay.
recovering. Like I'm working 20 hours a week as a teaching PE in the Institute of Education, and managing that with training the same amount, but it's the same amount of training in 6 days, but it's in five.
Yeah.
I'm not doing any less training. I'm actually just getting 2 days of recovery. Uh, so yeah, it's been, I use a Whoop to track my recovery, and the days that I have off, my recovery shoots up and makes a huge difference. So it's not just, oh, I feel better. It's actually scientifically proven that my recovery is
Hmm.
better. So it's consistency, recover well, train well, and anyone I've ever met, the two things I'd say when they look back, one is enjoy it more, and two is when you feel crap and you're niggly, stop. When you're younger, you're like, ah, it's grand, and most times you probably are fine, but that little tight calf or whatever could turn into something else. So it's hindsight is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. It's really interesting since doing the podcast and listening to other podcasts. It's when you get to high performance, it's the same things done over and over again to get to the big day with 60,000 people, but you're doing sort of the boring things over and over again, eating well, sleeping well, missing things. Is it a bit, not boring is the wrong word, but is it a little bit monotonous sometimes?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like our winter training, I'm eating between 4 and 5 thousand calories a day. And when I tell my students like about that, it's like, oh, it's amazing. You can eat what you want and do what you want. I'm like, do you know what 4 and 5 thousand calories looks like?
A
You know,
day as well,
yeah, yeah,
sustaining,
it's torturous. Like, and then you have rugby players eating 7,500 calories, and I'm like it's miserable,
yeah,
It's not miserable, but it's quite difficult, and it's the same kind of stuff. You come in, do your training, eat, prepare your meals for the next day, repeat, train, on and on and on. So yeah, it can get monotonous. So we try and have a bit of a laugh. Like my coach John is great crack. Like he distracts you. from the pain a lot, and we have a nice little training group. And I train out in the Institute of Sport as well. So you're in the gym with, I was training with Kelly Harrington yesterday, Olympic champion.
Cool.
Katie Taylor was in over Christmas. The rugby sevens are sometimes knocking around. You have other athletes, badminton guys in and out, cricket Ireland. So you're mixing with them, seeing what they're doing, and having a laugh as well. So it can be fun, but sometimes like today I had a really tough lactic session, and at the end of it, you're lying down being like, why am I doing this myself? And
Yeah.
yet I'll come up to track on Sunday, do the same thing and have the same questions afterwards. But it's worth it in the long run.
Yeah, why do you do it? And I suppose when you're going through particularly a tough time or even a tough session, what keeps you going? What's the thrill for you? Why do you do it?
I have to be the best I can be. Win medals, like just 3 medals at a European, World, Olympics. Obviously, you want to do that, but to be the best that you can be. If my best is 44.5 or it's 45.2, it's leaving the sport and going, right, I pretty much left it all there. That's for me is winning. You mightn't have done everything you wanted to do, but if you can retire on your own terms and go, look, I'm happy with what I've put in there. I think that's what drives me to try and run faster, be better, and drive the sport on as well. Try and motivate others to pick it up and to keep it going, because we need more people like myself and our other athletes to drive up the interest to have future Olympians down the line.
So, because I asked a question on the podcast, it's inspired by a friend of yours, Dean Asher Smith. So I get the sense you're more motivated by not a fear, but at the end of your career, you want to say, I ticked all the boxes, I got as much as I could. So it's nearly like at the moment, what's driving you is nearly not a fear again, but it's like, okay, I have to get everything I can out of this because it won't last forever.
Yeah, like it's definitely, and the older you get, the more you go, I'm ticking down here. You don't really ever think of it like that, but you're more thinking, when you're younger, you take it for granted and you run a PB and you move on to the next race and move on and move on. But sometimes you don't enjoy it enough. One of my good friends, Brian Murphy, said to me, when you run a personal best, enjoy it. Go out, have a drink, have a cake. And I adopted that philosophy a couple of years ago, and I had some great races after that and some great time as well. I was a bit more relaxed. So I think it is having fun, but finishing up the sport, happy with what you put into it. We don't get paid much money for doing it. I do it because I love it. I want to be the best I can be and inspire other generations as well. So yeah, it is. You don't want to be the old man in the pub going, oh, I could have done this.
Yeah.
You want to be, I tried to do it and I did it, or at least I put the effort to get there. I don't want to, you don't want to be the person having excuses down the line.
What habits or routines do you have outside of the track and the gym that you do and you attribute your ability to?
So for me, like it's just all routine. So it's, I work Monday to Thursday. I do have the same routine. I go to the track, do my gym session, whatever it is, eat, go to work, eat again, relax. I got a massage going. My fiance is a physio, so it's a handy one to have there as well if I have any little niggles. And just eating the right stuff, kind of sticking with the same kind of food groups, recovering well, sleeping well, and routine. We all love routine as humans. We love it, and I think sticking to a good solid routine. Like I go to bed at the same time and I get up at the same time every day. And if I go to bed an hour later, I still wake up at the same time. So it's just an hour less sleep. So it's important to stick to that. It makes a huge difference down the line. Like your sleep, you have a bank of sleep. It's a weekly thing. If you sleep 10 hours a night, you're getting 70 hours sleep. If you're sleeping 8 hours one night, you're losing that sleep. So it's trying to do everything over the week as best as possible, and stacking each week up to add into a month and a year, and then and that adds on to a pretty good career then if you can keep that going.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned making plans on race day, but away from races, and let's say you're just this week alone, would you take many notes or kind of journal at all? Would that be part of your routine?
Yeah, like I don't know if you've come across the Resilience Project.
I That's on my to read list. Thanks for that.
Yeah, yeah. So I listen. It's actually the audiobook's even better. Uh,
Okay.
so it's Hugh Van Carlenberg, the Australian guy, and he adopted these principles of gratitude, empathy, and meditation every day. So before bed, three things you're grateful for. So every night before I go to bed, even if I had a crap day, you'll find something like maybe dinner was nice, or you met a friend for coffee. Even the smallest thing, and it has to be in that 24-hour period of that day, not something that happened a week ago. So gratitude before bed. I don't write it. I just say it, and it's you go into bed and a little bit more positive, maybe than you were beforehand. Having empathy for others is obviously hugely important. You practice that every day as a teacher, trying to help students out, and then meditation. For me, I do bits and bobs of guided meditation. But for my thing is, I think the best meditation is unplugging and going for a walk.
Mm.
Walk the dog, go out for 10 minutes and get some fresh air. That's the best form of meditation, away from technology. Leave your phone at home, um whatever. That's what works for me. And yeah, training diary, then obviously I meticulous every day with that and planning. I use a tool called 168 hours. It's a Excel tool that tracks everything you do, and that's another useful tool to use. So yeah, it just comes back to planning.
Okay, that tool sounds interesting. For I know you're a teacher. For any younger people, you've mentioned a lot of advice before, but is there any advice that young people should ignore?
Um, should they ignore? Yeah, like I think more is better is the big thing, especially when it comes to sport. You know, a lot of the mentality of, and it's not necessarily coaches' fault because maybe they're not as educated as they should be by organizations. It's the more you throw at the wall, something will stick. I think it's find something you love, but don't kill yourself all the time to do it. I know kids that are playing five different sports and training more than I am. It's crazy. Like, yeah, keeping up multi sports is very, very important and it's great. But, don't be absolutely slamming yourself when you're 15 years of age with training. So, listen to people that are qualified in what they do and have, not even if they're qualified, but people that have experience of doing it. So an Olympian mightn't be a qualified psychologist or coach, but they can give you really good insights rather than listening to Instagram. Here's a workout to do. This is how you lose weight. I think a lot of the students, even in our school, the social media is so prevalent.
Yeah.
Everything to do is that, and that can cause a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety from all the mixed messaging that they
Hmm.
get from that.
Yeah, totally. You mentioned there celebrate every PB as if it's your last. Would you rather a PB or a medal? What would you
Yeah,
choose?
that's it. Yeah, I'd probably go for a medal, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's would I rather be the fastest man in the world to break the world record or win the Olympic gold? I think I'd win the Olympic gold because the world record is always going to be broken. We can't take that Olympic gold medal away. So yeah, medal mentality for me. And I think if you win the medal, you're going to run the times usually,
Yeah.
But if it was one or the other, yeah, definitely I'd take
I
the
like
medal.
that. I like that medal mentality. I like that one. How often do you plan then in your week? For your session, is it planned for your coach? Are you driving everything you do?
No, no, my coach myself, it's like 50-50. Like
Okay.
if I was that off on my own, I'd kill myself with training loads. So no, we sit down every block. So we do our blocks, 3 weeks of hard training, 1 week recovery. And then when it gets to races, it's 2-1 or 10 days and so on and maintenance work. So like we sit down for a coffee, we talk every single day over the phone or at training. And yeah, we sit down, what worked well, what could go better, what do we need to chop and change, and then we adopt those into the training. And then, as John would always say, it's the plan is just a guide.
Yeah.
It's the micro coaching every day that makes it different. Like today, we had a really hard session and we had to do a second set of it. And I rang John and go, look, we went pretty hard there. You ran really well. What do you think I should do? He goes, just drop it. Throw the runners on, do some easy tempo. He goes, you're going well, do that. Rather than sticking to the plan. And I know people that stick to the plan and will do every final little bit. And then when it comes to racing, they're dead because they haven't given themselves a break. So yeah, we plan quite frequently. Um, and we talk a lot and have like, you have your big meeting to start the year. This is what the goals are. This is what we're going to do. And then it's every month. How do we get better? How do we get better? Like I have an SSC coach, John Cleary, out in the Institute of Sport. So he would come in on board with that as well. And he'd help with the track stuff. We'd also help with the S&C stuff and body fats and testing and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we kind of monitor a lot of things without getting, over the top with it, because it's very easily done. Yeah, we would plan a lot without going overboard on it. It's a lot of micro coaching on the side.
Okay, very good. Out of everything you've achieved, what would be your definition of success?
Definition of success. I don't know. I think it's going out and running as fast as you can. The bet, like leaving every bit in the track. I think for me, obviously the easy thing is to say to be an Olympian or win a medal, this, that, and the other. But I think if you've left everything on the track and it's a time you're either happy with, or not, I think it's, if you go, I couldn't have ran any better that day, that's a success. If I was beaten, someone was just better on that day. I can't control that. I can control myself. So I think if I've left the track and gone, right, I actually did pretty well there, then, I'm that's a successful day or a successful race or whatever.
Brilliant. I've asked a couple of people this question, but who would you like to see on the podcast? And if you do suggest someone, I will need your help to get them on, most likely.
Okay. Who would I like to see on the podcast? Obviously, a lot of people. Good old Tom Barr, get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
He'd be no better man than Tom to get on it. He'd be on for it. He'd definitely be up for it.
Brilliant. I'm going to move on to the sideline 7. It's the same 7 questions at the end of every episode. Question 1, what is your favourite quote?
Favorite quote, right? I'm going to try and say this without looking it up. Michael Jordan's quote is, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. 26 times I've been trusted with the game and shot and missed. I've failed over and over again, and that is why I succeed. I think I use that every time I talk to the kids in school, is what does that mean? It's, you learn from your mistakes. You're never going to go anywhere if you don't learn from your mistakes. If you keep going to maths and getting the wrong answer because you're doing the wrong thing every time, you're never going to succeed and you're never going to figure it out. And same in athletics, there's no golden ticket. You've got to try and fail. And sometimes you try something, that didn't work. Well, at least you tried it and we can rule that out. So I think that's the quote for me.
Brilliant. Question 2, what's the best sporting event you've been to? And you can pick one as a fan and one as, as an athlete. Yeah,
I think the London World Champs in 2017, because it was huge crowds, 56,000. It was like a home championships. I think it was I ran really well there. I had a great time there. I think it was a special thing because obviously the London Olympic Stadium as well. I think that was for me the big one I enjoyed.
When you look back on your career, will that be the most memorable event, you think, for you, that race?
Well, to date, yeah, I'm hoping to add a few little notches to that now.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm nearly retiring your hair.
I'm not retired yet. No, I think like it's pretty special, but hopefully in the next 2 or 3 years there'll be something more special there.
What are you aiming for over the next couple of years? Do you want to put it out in the public domain?
Yeah, I'm gonna tick along to Paris, and then after that, it's whatever. Like I think I'll push on to Paris, and I'm all in for it and looking after myself to get there. But I'm not going to be obsessed crazily about it either. Like I want to go there. I want to be an Olympian. But it's every year counts. This is 2022. I want to have a big year in 2022, Europeans and Worlds, and then 2023 same. And then it's a really short Olympic cycle. Mm-hmm. Olympic qualification starts next year.
Yeah.
Like this is unheard of. So if it was another 4 years, I'd be like, oh, I don't know,
Yeah.
But I work. I'm not dependent on funding. I fund myself, and I enjoy what I do. I don't work a 9 to 5. I work teaching, so I have the flexibility between breaks and summer and stuff. So I can go as long as I want to go, as long as I'm enjoying it. I'm not going to be a 90-year-old man doing it, but I'm not financially under pressure to, pack it in and get a job. Yeah. That's a huge thing,
Mm. Question 3, what's been the biggest setback or challenge so far in your career, and how did you react to it?
I think 2015 was big, when I broke my ankle around my junior year, when I tore my hamstring tendon All right, sorry. Let's start again. When I tore my adductor, I've had so many. That's depressing. So yeah, my adductor when that tore that was a big one. But I think breaking my ankle in 2018 after having a big year in 2017, that I'm only really back to myself now.
Wow.
Like that was May 2018. I had surgery, had a screw put into it, and it's caused all sorts of other issues. So Achilles tendons, hamstring tendons, all that stuff there has caused issues down the line. I think that if I had said to myself after 2017, and even I was in better shape in 2018 coming into a European year, like that I basically would be out until 2022, I'd be like, you're having a laugh.
Yeah.
No way. I got a couple of races in 2020, but yeah, it was a killer. That the last 4 years have been really tough. But when I actually turn onto a positive side, it's I've got a good job. I've pushed on other things that have actually given me longevity in my career. So from a really crappy thing, it's been quite positive.
Mm. Kind of on the flip side then, as you say, looking towards the positives, what's been your biggest achievement on or off the track?
For me, biggest achievement on the track, it's hard to go by an under 23 medal. Only one person. I'm the only one that's ever won a 400 meter under 23 European medal. So even though it was a long time ago, it was still pretty special. Irish people don't win many medals.
Yeah.
And even that, it's very difficult to win a medal. So that was my big thing that I really wanted to do then. So yeah, I think that was a big thing for me.
Looking back, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Don't be so hard on yourself and enjoy it more. I listened to, could have been a high performance podcast or whatever. It was Andy Murray. Actually, it was the Andy Murray documentary where he said, enjoy it more. Now, I wasn't quite like him, and a hermit and didn't enjoy anything and never looked. I love what I do, but I think definitely don't be so hard on yourself. Take a little bit more recovery and definitely have more fun. Now I turned that around and had a lot of fun with it. But if you're enjoying a bit more and not being as anxious or whatever when you're a bit younger, it makes a huge difference going out and being that little bit happier.
Mm-hmm. Who would be your dream dinner guest and why? You can open up the table to a few people if you want.
God, who would be my dream dinner guest? I think Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
Would definitely, he's the godfather of football, main man. Definitely him. And let me see, who else have we got there? Probably Ruud van Nistelrooy, a really random one. He's one of the all-time top scorers for Manchester United. Loved him as a player. Won the Champions League with United. Incredible player. And I feel like I have to 20 by 20, I have to put in a female. I'm just trying to think, who would I love to meet? Just there's so many incredible athletes out there. Let me think. I think I'm in the athletics world now because I've given a lot.
You've given a lot of soccer here.
Yeah, a lot of soccer. Oh God, what's her name? I'm trying to think of the. Oh, Alison Felix, I think.
Oh,
I think.
great.
Yeah,
great
yeah,
one.
yeah. Yeah, I think the most decorated Olympian of all time. It's maybe a stereotypical answer there, but
yeah. Well, do you know what? If you do that, then you can be invited to any dinner party. Final question before I let you go: if your life was a book, what chapter would this be called?
To be continued.
To be continued. Brilliant, Brian. The very best of luck with everything. Thanks a million for coming on.
Sure. Thanks so much.
A massive thank you to Brian for joining me on the podcast, and I just want to wish him the very best of luck with the upcoming World Indoor Championships this weekend and beyond. I'll be sure to leave all of his social media links in the description box below. If you are enjoying the podcast, I'd really appreciate if you could leave a rating and a review over on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as it does help the show grow. Don't forget to check out the website thesidelinelive.com for more content. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one.